Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tim Vixay with my crippled friend, and I believe this is episode number 28. And if it's not, I'm gonna have to edit that in post. But we're back here at the compound in Poplar Grove, Illinois, and I'm sitting across the table from the one and only Mr. Noah Currier. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, dude?
Not much, man.
It's like take two.
Yeah, well, I mean, our first episode was, I don't know, the way I would describe it would probably just be a shit show.
It was the inaugural episode.
Yeah, it was pretty disgusting. It was a work in progress. I'm glad we did it, but I have definitely improved a lot since then. Upgraded some equipment, kind of know what the fuck I'm doing just a little bit. So
yeah, this is looking pro, man.
Sort of, kind of. It's a work in progress. The studio I got back home is pretty dope, but hey, for what we got here, we're making it happen. And I hear we're gonna turn this into a little podcast studio here in the future too.
Heck yeah, I'm sitting right where the wall will be.
Yeah, is this we've been talking about this for a little bit, but like, what kind of format are we looking at?
I think like the concept would be able to build for all the people that have podcasts that we're friends with and that we know when they're here, like you, for instance, let's just say you wanted to be able to do audio and video, be able to offer both, but have a soundproof room with some nice lighting and be able to do both video and audio.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And change out the backdrops. So if you want your sign, your logo up on the back, we'll be able to just switch it out with a panel that basically says "My Crippled Friend."
Yeah, I was thinking more like, have you thought about, or would you want to do like an Oscar Mike podcast?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I've been thinking about, like, I think if you did like a weekly 30-minute podcast where it's just you sitting in front of the microphone and you just talk about what went on that week, what's going on in the next coming week, I mean, because we're getting kind of into the thick of things where we got rugby's kicking off, we got, Spartans all the time.
I don't know if it would be me doing it. I feel, I don't even know what to say about that.
I think you'd be a good one for it. I mean, as Oscar Mike actual, like, just a quick 30-minute once a week every, call it fucking Sunday evening.
Yeah.
Upload it by Monday. And it's just like, hey, we were just out in New Hampshire, for a wheelchair rugby tournament. And this is how we did. And Tim Vixay kicked ass. And
I think, though, that there's so many good voices, like, you and Ryan and Tony Drees and all these guys that are just, you got it. You like.
Dude, I don't know what I got.
Yeah, but you guys like doing the podcast. You like being.
It is fun.
The face of something.
It's just, for me, like, it's fun to give our community a platform.
Definitely.
To kind of open up, speak their mind, show that, we're more than just inspiration porn, and that there's, actual lives, actual things that we deal with behind the scenes versus just the 20-second clips you see of, us, quote unquote, being inspirational.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I just think, who knows? Maybe I will, but in the meantime, I feel like there are so many good voices and people that are trying to do their own podcasts and stuff that I would rather be a conduit for them to be able to do it than myself. I'm fine with being a guest on podcasts. That's cool with me. I just don't know if I need my own.
How many other podcasts have you done besides mine?
I have no idea.
You cheating son of a bitch.
I'm sorry, dude.
Which one's been your favorite one? Besides mine.
Well, yours, so selfishly, for us, I feel like ours are going to be probably more fun than normal because so much about me. Where when other people do them, they're kind of asking the same types of questions.
Yeah.
I could do a podcast every week with somebody else, and they're going to ask a lot of the same questions, kind of repeat it, over and over.
Have you found that since you've, and I hate to use the term famous because I don't think you are,
Right.
but like you've been given a platform, but like what you're saying, like you're going to get asked the same questions over and over again. Have you found that like you've kind of rehearsed your answer and you kind of just have like a go-to, just plug a story and go?
Yeah, and that's, right now, unless it's like a local school or somebody that did a fundraiser or something, I haven't said yes to public speaking in a couple of years now, unless it's somebody that I'm tight with.
Yeah.
Because I don't like doing the same thing over and over and over again.
I've been asked that repeatedly if I would ever do like public speaking, and there was just I want to say he was probably a paraplegic that just did a speaking thing at a big assembly at my old high school, and I saw the pictures like online, and I was like, I wonder what sets his story apart from mine, but I just am unwilling to share my story because I'm still kind of in denial that like I'm doing anything special.
See, I had to share mine over and over and over again, just basically to get Oscar Mike off the ground.
Right.
And now that we're coming on the 8-year anniversary, that's if you figure like I've literally done either a news interview or a podcast or a TV show or something every single week since we started. It's a lot of times to tell the same thing over. That's why I'd rather give other people the opportunity now that we have, so many people that are involved in it, and so many of your cripple friends, like there's our buddy Ryan, we just sent him down to Miami.
Yeah.
And we've been having other people like Caleb now is doing some local stuff for us. Just as many opportunities we can pass out.
Yeah, Ryan Curry actually still holds the record for longest podcast on my show.
Yeah.
We were just rambling on forever, and I think we're going to try to do a podcast tomorrow.
Nice.
At his studio, because he's kicking off his show pretty soon.
Is that his first one?
I don't know if it's his first one. He might have been fucking around. Hopefully he has, because
I've only seen pictures of his studio.
Yeah, so it might be his first one, but that
table though.
Yo, dude, you should know when you come to Portland next summer. We're gonna do a podcast at my studio.
All right.
And like the office by then is just gonna be like decorated out, and the fucking table that I bought, I got custom built. So it's like a big ass L-shaped table, dude. This thing is dope, and I got my Xbox set up in there. Like I'm gonna turn it in just a dope ass man cave with a fucking killer sound system. Like we can just go in there and just blaze up, because it is Oregon and that shit is legal there. And just fucking listen to music and just fucking have a killer time, dude. So, dude, going back, like you mentioned, fucking Oscar Mike is like on its 8th year anniversary. We just had I've been at the compound here for a couple days now, but like last time I saw you before that, because I was in Paraguay for a couple days, was at the Oscar Mike Ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. How did that night go? Like, would you say?
I had a blast. It was the first time out of all these where I was very hands off with everything. As far as the prep for everything.
You got to kind of more or less enjoy the night.
Enjoy it, man.
Yeah.
And it was probably the best one yet because of that.
Hey, and that's not to take away anything from all the people that like busted their ass off to, make it happen. I mean,
seriously. But now, now that we've done a bunch of them, we know, like
kind of all the gears are in place.
Right.
Yeah, no, it honestly, for a little bit there, it felt like things were getting kind of off the rails, just scrambling, like last minute scrambling. But that's always
do that.
That's always going to happen, right? Yeah. That's always going to happen. But I mean, for me, dude, what I really liked was just the smaller room.
Yeah, because that other group was taken. Basically, they had to partition off the big whatever you call it, not really convention center, but the space.
I wasn't mad at it just because, like, I wasn't at last year's ball, but the 2 years prior to that, when we first moved to the big room, dude, I probably knew maybe about like 1/10 of the people, and maybe it's because I've like put myself a little bit more out there, and people have gotten to know me and just like add me on Facebook and what. But like, it felt like I knew a lot more people there this time, and it was more intimate for me, for real,
Yeah, and I like as time goes on, everybody in that room starts to know more and more people in the room. Like the family gets tighter and tighter and tighter.
Yeah. I still don't get why, like, I'm always sitting all the way in the back.
Were you?
Yeah, I mean, as a guy who's been with the company since before the beginning.
Yeah, everybody complains about where they sit.
I don't give a fuck, dude. My table was awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, I had Dustin Harp next to me. And we were just talking shit, shooting shit, and
good.
Cavalier was there. One gay couple from somewheresville, but they were a pretty fun group. Yeah, it was fun.
Good. I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah, I played a fucking one-handed poker. I was so stoked that there was a casino night, and I was like ready to get my gamble on. Get over to the fucking Texas Hold'em table, and my first hand is an ace deuce suit, and I'm like, oh, all right, let's do this. And fucking flop comes up, and it's ace deuce 9, and I was like,
wait, so you had 2 pair right out of the gate?
I had 2 pair right out of the gate, right? And the 9 was it was the 9 of clubs, which is what I had. Next flop was a fucking, I don't know, like a jack of clubs or whatever. So I got my 2 pair. I'm on a fucking 4-card flush draw. And I was just like, this guy, like, I'm betting good. And this guy's still staying in. I'm like, fuck, like, the only way he's going to beat me is if he's got the ace and he's got a higher kicker. I was like, I still got that flush draw. So I push him all in, and fucking it flops up nothing. And he had the fucking ace 9.
Oh,
I was like, fuck. I was like, oh, I guess my casino night's done. Just proceeded to finish that bottle of whiskey and black the fuck out.
Well, sorry you didn't get a 9 or another deuce.
It was cool because, like, then I would have just spent there. I mean, if I would have kept winning, I would have just – I know me when it comes to gambling, and I would have just spent the whole night there. And it's not what that night's about. It's about celebrating everything that we accomplished in the last year, So,
yeah. I thought it was cool, when we did the Inspiration Awards this year and – recognizing like all the volunteers that have just really gone above and beyond. But then we did, we recognized one athlete, and it was Ryan Major.
Of course.
Ryan's been around for so long, but he's always kind of like,
he has and he hasn't.
Oh, he's been around for a while, man.
Yeah.
And he's been through all of our programs.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him on the podcast while we're in New Hampshire, just because we were in Paraguay together. And
I don't know if I know anybody else with a better attitude than that guy. He's happy all the time.
He brings out the best in everyone, because when I'm around him, all I want to do is just make him laugh.
Dude,
because he has the best smile. He has the best smile in the world.
He's so excited about life and everything that he does. We're in New York City, and I don't remember where we were going to and where we were leaving. I just remember Ryan was in the vehicle, and we had a pretty long drive ahead of us. And the entire drive, while everybody else is falling asleep, right when we get on the highway and we're out of downtown, the guy's basically a torso. He jumps he's up in the window, hanging completely out of the vehicle. And every truck that we passed, he's doing trying to get the semis to honk. And we must have passed 100 semis, and he's no luck at all.
Really?
Finally, this one semi honks, and he's just like, loses it, man. And it justified his entire time of sitting out there trying to get semis to honk.
I've never had a problem at getting semis to honk.
Oh, he was getting so upset that nobody was honking. And I mean, you want to talk about enthusiasm, the guy's hanging all the way out the window trying to
I mean,
give it to him just for that.
Disabled vet just wants a honk.
Right.
No, man, he's he hasn't always been like that. I mean, like when I met him, he was still good, but I mean, I've heard stories where there were some dark times for him where it was just lost and didn't know what the fuck he was gonna do, you know, and he found rugby and just loves it. You know, there's really I don't know anyone who loves the game as much as he does, you know, and I thought I did, but I don't, you know, but like for him, it's numero uno. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think you love it on a different level. Like, I don't know if anybody has ever studied the game as hard as you. You know, I know people that have worked out. You know, I could say I know somebody who works out the hardest. I know somebody who's the most enthusiastic. I know somebody, you know, this and that. But as far as understanding the game and being able to teach people, I don't know if anybody does it better than you.
There's plenty of better guys. I just try to learn from them, take what I like.
You know, though,
mash it up.
When I think about leaders and I think about the way people convey, you know, the way people get somebody to follow them, because that's really, I think, what a leader is and what they should be good at. There are people that can excel at something. Maybe they're the PT stud. Maybe they're the kiss ass. Whatever their trait is or quality. But when you get a bunch of alphas in a circle and everybody wants to talk or be heard or be the voice of authority, usually there's one person who everybody will shut up and listen to. And when it's fourth quarter, there's 2 minutes left, we're taking a timeout, and everybody needs to really concentrate on what the next couple moves are and whose voice is everybody going to listen to in that moment. It's yours. On the rugby court, it's you.
Wow. I think I'm going to cry.
Well, it's serious, man. I mean, we're surrounded by a bunch of guys who know how to play the sport really well. We're surrounded by a bunch of alphas. We got guys who just know everything, right? You can't tell them, you know, you can't teach them anything. Yeah. And then there's you, and, you know, yeah, you probably have a little bit of the same mindset.
You don't think I'm an alpha?
You are. But at the same time, man, when you start talking in those moments, in the serious moments, everybody wants to listen to you in that moment. That's something you should be proud of.
Well, the key is just to not say a lot, so that way when
Right.
you do speak up, it's meaningful. Because, like, I don't need to be there on the sideline to motivate and rah. Like, we all know our jobs. We all know what we need to do. And, like, if someone needs to say it, then just say it. But I feel like where I need to step in is when we're getting punched in the face and we're like, oh, we're in a dogfight. And it's like not the X's and O's that we need to hear. It's more just like, listen, motherfuckers, like, you guys are tougher than this. There's no reason for you to fucking whimper and cower. Like, you guys have all fucking chewed dirt and fucking slept in mud. Like, what makes our team special is that we have a certain bond that nobody else has in the league. And that's that, you know, we signed a contract to the U.S. government, and, you know, we ended up in a similar situation. We're playing a game, but I always feel like, I always look at like society as like a couple different kind of castes, and that the ones that choose to serve their country in the armed services, like, are a part of the warrior caste, Marines especially. I mean, but
I've never had a day since the hospital, take away ICU, anything past ICU, that has surpassed on the level of hard as some of the days that I experienced in the Marine Corps.
Right.
You know? And so, you know, like, yes, being disabled is hard, and there have been extremely hard days. I mean, 90% of our body doesn't even work. So, yes, there are some serious struggles, but they still don't compare to some of the struggles that we faced in the Marine Corps.
Absolutely. I mean, every time, I mean, not even like if I'm working out or pushing around the lake and I'm like, fuck, I got a mile to go and I'm fucking done. And like, or even like in a game where it's like, fuck, like I'm so fucking tired and I just want to quit right now, dude. It's going to sound fucking moto, but like I always tell myself like, dude, that 19-year-old kid humping the fucking 240 in Afghanistan or Syria or even, you know, in infantry school up Mount Motherfucker, like he wants to quit right now too.
Yeah.
But that's not an option for him. It's not an option for you. So suck it the fuck up, Sally.
Yeah. You know, I think about like the definition of like work and hours and, you know, like what sacrifice is. And I hear, you know, like especially when I've tried relationships, you know, and they don't work out because usually the complaint that I get after about a month or two, like at first a girl will think that it's fun, you know, to see everything that is going on, and there's so much going on.
Yeah.
But then when they're around, they realize that there's no off switch with any of it. You know, like it doesn't stop. It's 24 hours a day. You have people here at the compound constantly. You know, like I get up and I get ready for work. You know, you wake up at 5 o'clock, you start getting ready, you answer emails, then you spend your 2 hours in the bathroom, you know, getting ready and getting dressed.
I will say this about you. For being a quadriplegic, I have to fucking tip my hat for you. Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, always on time, always in the office. Like, I just can't do that. I don't know if able-bodied Timmy could do that. I definitely know quadriplegic Timmy can't do that. So fucking hats off to you for that's a certain level of discipline that I believe that I have, but it's unproven.
The thing is, I don't, you know, like I don't have an option. You know, the mission isn't successful yet. So until we are sustainable and until we're helping as many people as we want, like things just get more and more expensive, and I don't have the answers to everything. I just have to keep plugging away.
Let's get back to that about mission success. Like, when would you rest easy with everything? Like, with if in say 50, 60 years, we're still doing this podcast, we're on episode 2000 whatever, yeah. And I ask you, man, remember that Oscar Mike thing that we used to fucking do? Like, what would you consider a success?
Well, I think when everybody has enough opportunities and touch points. I mean, you think about like, and by touch points, I mean, right now, take a program like the compound program. Right now, you're really offering it mostly to first timers. You know, now we started doing the peer mentors and having people who excel at, you know, like their situation, coming in and being a mentor to other people. But for the most part, it's new, you know, it's new guys. And hopefully we're teaching them a bunch of new adaptive sports and unlocking some door for them. But imagine if, you know, like one of the not complaints, but one of the things we talked about when we were first starting is there's a couple big events that get everybody together or a group of people together and they get to do something awesome, but then it's 365 days until it comes again, you know, and that's a long time to be contemplating, you know, maybe life isn't going the way you want it to. Maybe you just are having a hard time adjusting to being disabled, you know, whatever it is. You know, normally there's some things that compound on top of that, you know, like with me, when I just had somebody ask me about the dark time, you know what I mean? Like the time that was hard. Yeah. And I said, it wasn't because I was paralyzed. Like that's not what it was. It was because there was all this other stuff that compounded on top of that. You know, I had just lost Maureen, the girl that I had been with for 7.5 years. I just got back from Iraq and got separated from all my buddies. You know, like there were all these things that stacked on top of it, and losing her is what was, you know, that was the final straw. I know people that, you know, I look at some of our friends that have a family. You know, they have a wife, they have kids, and I never got that. You know what I mean? Like she
one
passed.
Of the best photos I think you took was of all the rugby dads
Yeah.
with their rugby kids, and it really put it into perspective. Like, because 4 years ago, none of us were fathers. We were all most of us were just bachelors. Just the world was our oyster.
Yep.
And now it's like you got the transition, and you got, you know, Joel's got a kid. He's got one of the best kids in the fucking world.
Right.
Yeah, little Elijah, dude. Dude was so awesome in Paraguay.
It's so awesome having Elijah around, just because it lifts everybody's spirit.
Oh, for sure.
Everybody.
Yeah.
But, you know, like those are things that, especially with Oscar Mike, that I have kind of had to sacrifice, because I don't get to be in a stable relationship and make time for a family. And I look at that and I'm like, that'd be the coolest thing in the world.
For you? I used to think that too, like the whole family thing. But honestly, for me now, it's just like, I'm just here to make the most of this and getting locked down and with the kid. And I see the benefit in it, and like to pass on values and all that. I'm just, at the moment right now, I'm just not ready for it. There's so much of this world I need to see before.
That's the way I used to think. I don't know if it's age or what, but I think about it now, and I would enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I honestly would love the challenge of being a father, and just, you know, seeing a young human being through this earth, whether it be a, you know, male or a female. But it's like, for me right now, kind of on my own path, just figuring out, I'm just a wanderer, dude. Like, so it honestly blows my mind sometimes when I really self-reflect and think about like the life I have, where I get to go travel to Paraguay, and I get to go to all these places.
Of you sometimes. Like, I don't want to see your social media. I don't want to see any of that.
I don't get it. Like, pinch me. I'm fucking dreaming. I live in a simulation. Like, it's just, you would have told the fucking, you know, 10-year-old Timmy from Southeast Portland, he'd be doing shit like this. I'd be like, get the fuck out of here, dude. I'm probably just gonna sell drugs, join a gang, and fucking be in prison by the time I'm 24.
Yeah, no, you live a charmed life, my friend.
Oh man, that's why I always the importance for me, man, is just like try to give it back and pay it forward. And like I didn't do shit to deserve anything like this, so it's like just got to keep paying it forward. But anyways, enough about me. Fucking trying to make me cry over here. We've been talking a lot about Ostermark. I want to keep it on kind of the rails there while we're here. In the past year, what would you say was let's give me like a top 3 event, highlight, moment, memory, just for, you know, the year. Let's just call it 2019, end of 2018.
Well, the moments at the end of the compound clinics are always really emotional.
Family dinners.
Yeah. I mean, that is when you get to hear what it did to people, that's hard to not, like it would be hard to pick a top right there, because those are so.
Well, you could group them all into one.
Yeah, they're very individual to the people that are talking, though, and what it did for each of them.
I've been involved in like 4 or 5 now.
They're powerful.
What's amazing is like I don't ever think about what I'm going to say. I'm always one of the last ones to speak.
It just happens.
And something just clicks, and I'm just like, quote unquote, inspired.
Right.
You know, and it's just, yeah, I mean, the last one we had with the all the other group, you know, like James and that whole group, what's his name? Travis was there. Yeah. It was, you know, just
killer groups.
Hearing their stories.
But now, like this, you take that and then you the Spartan race series and everything that we've done. We've been at so many races, and I watch what people are saying afterwards, and it's very similar to the way people feel at the end of a compound clinic, where they normally overcame something in a group setting, that they didn't think was possible, or they all pulled it off together. You know, like it's the same thing as like when you go, you know, you're intimidated about going on a 30-mile hump with a full pack, you know, but you survive it together. And at the end of it, you're just like, man, I never thought that my body was going to make it, especially at like mile 20. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't think I had another 10 left in me with that kind of weight on my shoulders. And you do it, but you do it because you got a group around you that's going through the suck with you.
You would never do it alone.
Right. Yeah. And then the rugby team, I mean, that was Nationals was at the end of March. That you think about everything that we did there.
I was hoping you'd say that.
That one's
I would just say the culmination of the rugby season.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah,
and now leading into this one.
Yeah, if we had to pick one event, I mean, Nationals just went so smooth. Probably one of the most successful. I mean, despite like the transportation issues, which wasn't even really that big of a deal. People will get over it. Yep. Fucking quads are, they just need to quit being fucking princesses. Yeah, I mean, everyone fucking enjoyed it. I mean, everything from the fucking live streaming, the venue, the banquet. Rick fucking ran his suck a little too long, but give him a couple fucking martinis and he's gonna do that.
Oh, no comment. But what all that did for me was, like me personally, is you see how hard I've been working out lately. It was because of that.
Yeah. No, man, you've been working your ass off. I'm gonna give credit where credit's due. Normally I'm trying to bust your balls as much as I can.
But had I not experienced that and not, been a part of that team for the season and wanting to be a better asset to the team, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now, and I wouldn't be putting in all the time that I'm putting in. And it is because of the rugby team. It's because of the season. It's because of Nationals, and it's because I've been able to be fortunate enough to be around all you guys, man.
Yeah, man. I wish I could say I was the beast I used to be, but I just don't have any interest right now in working out that hard right now, just because my rugby kind of career's on its twilight. Just ready to move on to other things. Trying to get into like long distance hand cycling and looking for challenges. Marathons.
I think that
Spartan races and shit.
You got a lot to give still in the rugby world, and I think you as a teacher and a mentor and a leader on the team, I mean, your role is still extremely valuable.
I'll always be around for that, but when it comes to putting in the hours in the gym, it's just like I'm gonna stay in shape. I'm never gonna get out of shape, but as far as rugby condition, I'm probably gonna start transitioning into long distance hand cycling and working on scuba diving. Been hitting the rowers with the elevation training mask and working on my scuba because I mean right now I think my next 10 years there's just gonna be a whole lot of scuba diving.
That's a cool sport, man.
We're talking about going to Shook Lagoon.
Where's that at?
It's the Micronesian states near like the Philippines ish area.
Is it like warm water drift diving kind of?
Way warm water. I don't know about the drift, but it's it used to be the Japanese naval base, and one day the U.S. came in and ruined their holiday. And it's one of the highest concentration in like shipwrecks, and there's all sorts of like I've talked about this before on the podcast, but there's like all sorts of tanks and shipwrecks and planes, and supposedly there's a fucking Japanese soldier that was getting like his appendix or some shit removed, and he was strapped down to an operating table, and we fucking came in and sunk his boat, and he's still under there strapped down to the operating table.
Wow.
Yeah, it'd be dope to see. So goal next year is to so I got my advanced cert. I'm going to get my master. I just got to do my rescue course, and I'll get my master dive. And then start getting into the tech side of things and work on a rebreather and become a advanced wreck diver. And then hopefully start fucking around in some caves and see where that takes me.
I definitely want to start joining you on some of that.
Get the fuck on board, dude. I've been telling you about this.
Well, diving, I've gotten to do it in such cool places around
You were
the world.
certified when you were an AB.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you haven't done it since you've been a quad.
Right.
Dude, we need you.
Yeah.
You, out of all the friends that we know, I would say would benefit the most from it. Because you get to go to a sunny tropical place versus this snowy shit that we had this morning. It's not that bad, but it sucks.
Yeah.
But when you get to go to Bon Air and it's, 85 degrees, and, Kevin Panel and the Mouth Breathers group, they're out in Indonesia right now. They've been out there for like 10 days just fucking diving in shit.
Living the dream, man.
I know, dude. Yeah, and we're trying to get on that Shook Lagoon, and then it's like where we go from there.
I tell you, man, once I figure out how to start raising money, like enough money to pay for everything and that we're trying to do, I will start to do a lot more of that. But I look at it, like this has just been one really long deployment, man. I'm just putting in the time until the mission's accomplished.
It sucks too, because like I'm on one spectrum, a good wavelength, where I get to enjoy everything. I get to put in work for the company, but I don't even consider it work compared to what you do. And it's like, I'm ready for you to start joining me on this trip, because we talked about it fucking, 8 years ago, how we were going to fucking
close,
do this, man, and do that. And
we're
it's
close.
Like, you're the one that's been putting in the hours, and
the more partners we stack up, that are supporting us now, and the more people that do fundraisers and donate and stuff. I mean, we're getting close. We're almost there.
So in the last year, what would you say is your greatest personal accomplishment?
This last year, a lot of cool stuff has happened. I mean, the partnerships and the stuff with Google was awesome. Amazon, Ford, like those kind of things.
Yeah, you went out to Seattle and you didn't even let me know.
Yeah, that stuff
I was probably out of town.
Those are the kind of things where, 8 years ago, when we were doing it in the 2-car garage, I didn't know if they would ever happen. We didn't even know what we were really doing, and we were happy if we helped 2 people.
Yeah.
And now, to know that like Fortune 100 companies, some of the top 10 companies on the planet, have contacted us, and we haven't even had to reach out to them. That has to be the pinnacle right there. The fact that now they're reaching out to us.
Yeah. No, it's growing. Like, do you see us moving warehouses here pretty soon, or are we still comfortable where we're at?
I don't really care about growing the apparel company side to enormous levels. I want everybody that supports us to be able to obviously rep it all the time and to wear it. But I'd be much like the real goal is always the number of people that are able to participate in adaptive sports. So that, that'll be a constant in growth. But I do know where I would be comfortable. Like if all of our programs and everything that we have going currently were just sustainable, and we had enough donors and partners to take care of those things, I'd start joining you on a lot more adventures.
All right, sorry about that, guys. The batteries on the audio interface died, so we're dealing with technical difficulties, and now the frames are being dropped on the camera, so the second half of the audio might be kind of shit, but whatever. We're gonna roll with it. We're gonna adapt and overcome, because we're Marines, and that's just what we do, I guess.
Let's do it.
Well, I kind of forgot where we left off.
Talking about freedom. Once we were sustainable, I'm coming on trips with you.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about your best accomplishment in the last year. Let's talk about what are your goals for this coming season.
For rugby?
Life for Mr. Noah Currier.
Well, I've become, let's see, gluten-free, alcohol-free, tobacco-free.
You weren't alcohol-free during the fucking Oscar Mike Bowl.
You're right, I was not. But I mean, all right. So other than that night, and then I'll still have a glass of
You
wine.
were just
here
looking
and
for
there.
wine. Come on, dude. Alcohol free.
Yeah.
Alcohol reduced.
All right. Yeah. Alcohol reduced.
I went without alcohol for 1 year.
Yeah.
Legit.
Well, I'm not trying. Like, I don't have a goal with that. You know, like I'm not trying to.
You're just trying to monitor yourself a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, for instance, like you guys all having a drink tonight. You asked me if I want to drink. The answer is always no. But if there was a bottle of wine that was open, would I have a glass socially? Yes. And then what else? Let's see. Mostly dairy free. I think there's some cheese in some of the things that I eat still.
You had cheese tonight.
Yep. What else? There's other things that I've cut out. I forget what they are.
Gluten.
Yeah. Anyway.
How hard has that been?
It's hard at first, but I've gotten used to it now. It's actually pretty easy now. And since I started meal prepping every single meal of the day pretty much with Jimmy, food for fuel.
Yeah.
That has made life much easier when it comes to eating clean because I don't have to think about it. It's just there. And I get to microwave something in 2 minutes. It's awesome.
Sync the audio again. Hold up. Okay. Yeah. I don't know why the frames are still being dropped. Okay, I'm done fucking with it. Yeah, man. Having that like food for fuel is really convenient, especially around here where sometimes it just feels like you're just always like on the go.
Yep.
You don't ever have time to like sit down and make like a proper meal.
Right.
And then when you do, the stove don't work. But that's a different story.
It's awesome though. I mean, it really is. It's made life easy to eat really, really well and really clean.
Yeah, because before then, what would you say was your diet?
Well, I always ate good for lunch, because I'm at the office and I get to eat with other people who are all like grouping in, But at home, for instance, I was trying to explain my day earlier, but 5 o'clock in the morning, get up, start getting ready. Then by the time I'm done, the minute I'm done, it's leave for the office, out the front door. So there's no making breakfast or even eating.
Yeah, because you'd rather be there on time than
right
to eat and not be there.
Right. That's one of those things, though. Scott Mann would preach it about rooftop leadership. If you're not there on time, why would anybody? There's no. If the boss isn't going to be there on time, why should anybody else?
Yeah, set the example. Be the example.
And then if you're going to leave early, or you got to be the first one in, last one out. And then other people kind of like adopt that same pride of ownership, or they know that that's expected, and we get our time in.
That's why I've always kind of had an appreciation for you, because for you to do that and work office hours, man, I just not for me.
The only thing I think that I'm going to do, because what it's bad for, I'm not walking around during the day, obviously. So I think what I'm going to do for the winter time is bring in a set of the rollers that are downstairs.
Yeah.
And do that on like a lunch break, is jump up on the rollers and get some time in on those.
Yeah. No, the rollers are great, especially for, just getting moving.
Right.
Because for you, it's just like sit in front of a fucking computer all day.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know.
It's bad for you over time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even for an able body, but especially for a quad.
Right. Those rollers will be key.
Yeah.
That massage chair in my office.
I was just gonna say, dude, pop out over in the massage chair.
That thing's unbelievable.
During lunch or whatever, and plug away. I get fucking if I can, man, I'll get like weekly massages. Just get the body tuned up.
Derek Wells came in last week to drop something off or pick something up, and he sat down in that and he turned it on, and you should have seen the look on his face, because it was like set to mid back or whatever. And not only did he look like he was in pain, but he couldn't believe that a chair could do that.
Yeah. He's I didn't know this about him, but he's kind of balls deep into the sport of parachuting.
Yeah, you could say that. Man.
Yeah, I had no idea. I introduced him to the Cleared Hot podcast, and he was just fucking hooked, and I was just like, man, this might be a dangerous friendship. because we hang out together too much and drink a little too much booze, and we're gonna talk about fucking tandem wingsuit or something.
He's been doing some cool Oscar Mike videos like the
rodeo.
This is Sparta and kicking people out of helicopters and stuff like that.
He did the fucking rodeo just recently. I was just like,
yeah, they were like wrestling, hanging upside down on a helicopter, and like until somebody dropped.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
No, man, for a guy like him, dude, like to do something like that, it's just like, damn, like
that's cool.
I would have never would have fucking thought or have even thought I would meet someone who, I mean, is a parachute enthusiast.
He left the Oscar Mike ball early to make it to a drop zone.
Yeah.
Like that's how committed he is.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see where it goes for him, but
yeah,
it's gonna be fun to watch.
It is fun to watch.
What are your goals for the rugby season?
Just be an asset and learn, man. I feel like, I've always just kind of like flirted with it. It was always just, what did I say when you came out last time? I said, this is the first time that I felt, geez, I forgot
like
the way
a
I worded.
rugby player?
Yeah, like instead of just playing rugby, now I felt like a rugby player. That last tournament, I think I got 9 games in, and that was the first time. What was cool about that was I really realized that weekend, the last tournament that we played, that I think my biggest hindrance with learning more and becoming a better player was definitely my endurance and my ability to push a chair, because you can't learn what you need to learn if you can't physically be in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah.
Like if you can't, if you're too exhausted to even like think about a transition, then how are you going to be in the right spot during a transition?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you're physically able to, then all of a sudden you're going to learn so much more because you're not like trying to, take those gasping breaths and recoup your arms for 10 seconds because you're dying.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do.
Don't know if I've ever hit that point in my career.
Yeah.
Not in a long time.
Well, I know you were there at one point.
Not in a long, long time. No, man, I'm really excited by like your enthusiasm, especially coming into this season, and I hope the hard work kind of pays off and you get more minutes. And what would you say, like, what are some goals for the team?
Well, I mean, this year is it's a completely different starting lineup,
Yeah.
So developing everybody, one of the people that I have the most fun talking to and like watching grow right now is Josh, because he's another 1-5, and Josh and I go back and forth, and like the excitement we have for each other and like seeing the progress that both of us have made, like, and being able to like fist bump all of it all the time. It's been fun, but Caleb, he's going to be fun to watch grow. I mean, that guy, he's got potential to be a friggin' monster out there.
Yeah, he's still very new.
Yeah, so that'll be a fun one. I mean, just watching everybody develop and seeing how new lines form. I mean, when I wrote down all the line options that we have with our full roster, there were 13 lines we can run, and they're all pretty decent lines. So that's a lot of development we get to do, and a lot of essentially we can be a hockey team out there if we need to be.
Yeah, having a deep bench is very beneficial, but I also say like having a good, knowledgeable team is probably the most important thing. As long as everyone knows what the fuck we're doing and we're all on the same page.
Yeah,
I have no doubts we should make nationals outright. As far as like placing or finishing,
I think we're going to have to see how this season goes before we can even make those predictions.
I'd say as long as we're out of the toilet bowl. So not 7-8 D2.
Yeah.
So if we're in that 5-6 range, I'd be happy with it. It is a brand new team. We got a lot of development players. We got some experienced players coming from other elite teams, but they never really got the court experience. I mean, Ryan Major, he has his limitations, but he's got the drive and the potential to be a factor in Division II, potentially at the next level, and we'll see. Scrap, I mean, sky's the limit with him. Caleb, same as well. I mean, it's just like way too early to even tell.
Right.
No, it's exciting. It's our second season together, like this little thing that we started, and it was just kind of cool to see how it's grown and progressed from just a ragtag at-large team.
Dude, the coolest thing at the last tournament, if you could have felt the vibe there, the no drama vibe, was that. I mean, it was such a weight off of everybody's shoulders. There was nothing.
That's important, right? Because
it is.
I mean, the sideline stuff kind of affects the in between the line stuff, and
that felt really good.
Yeah. The no, I haven't played with you guys yet this season, but we're going to New Hampshire on Friday for a tournament, and we'll see how that goes. We'll see what kind of shape I'm in and just how quickly we can start clicking.
I don't think I was on the roster for it, but I'm going anyway.
You should. Fuck it. Why not? New Hampshire. I've never been there.
Yep.
Place that's only ever existed on a map for me. Can't even name the capital.
Yeah.
Can't even name a town. I don't even know the town we're going to. I've just been telling people New Hampshire.
That's so funny.
They're like, that's a real place.
I can't think of the capital or even a single city now that you just said New Hampshire. Like, I should know all of this, and I don't.
Yeah, I have no idea what town we're going into or what airport I'm flying into. Like, it's I'm
flying into Boston.
Yeah, that's a real place. I've been there. That's
a real place. I've been there. I love Boston. But yeah, as far as New Hampshire, I don't know. I've driven through it.
Yeah, I haven't even done that. So it's kind of nice. I get to check another one off the list. I got maybe after this weekend, I'll have like 7 more to go.
See, I had like 48 states on my list, and then somebody just, like we're debating about who's been to more and what the rules are. And if the rule is you have to spend the night there, it just cut it down in like half because I haven't spent the night in all those states.
Yeah, don't count if you don't spend the night there.
Yeah, I've just done a lot of driving.
Yeah, and you get to see a place for that, but
you get to see. I mean, the landscape, which is awesome. I know I know the terrain of basically every state.
But you should at least get out, spend the night, meet the people, get a beer somewhere.
So depending on whose rules we're talking about, I've either been to like 48 states or I've been to about 20.
Yeah, you've only been to like 20. No, I'm in the camp where you got to spend the night or at least do something significant.
Yeah, like make a pit stop and do something cool.
Technically, I can't really check off Georgia, even though I've been to the Atlanta airport. No, actually, sorry. Until this year, I couldn't have checked off Georgia, even though I lived in Alabama right next door.
I've done a lot of stuff in Georgia.
Yeah, and so I just forgot I did the aquarium dive, so I can't check Georgia off officially. But before then, I was just considering. I was like, well, me and Teddy were driving through there one time, and we stopped in Koreatown and got some barbecue, and I was like, okay, I can check off Georgia. But now that I spent the night there, I went to the aquarium, I can check off Georgia. So, no, I do outright have maybe, after this weekend, seven states to go where I got to spend the night. So, we'll see what happens. Most of them are just in that fucking northeast corner where everybody kind of forgets about. I mean, name the capital of Maine.
Bangor?
Maybe. It's the capital of Vermont. What's the capital of Connecticut?
Stop, dude. I can tell you. I used to be able to do the states and the capital songs. All 50. Like Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California.
Animaniacs.
No, that was the countries. That's like 300 countries.
Okay.
Yeah. That one was super hard to do. The states and the capitals was pretty easy. But now when I have to like think about a capital or a state, I have to go in alphabetical order just because I gotta get to that part of the song in my head and be like, oh yeah.
I can do it from just visualizing a map and naming all the states.
Yeah.
I just can't. I don't know the capitals. Because there's some cities where they seem like they should be capitals, but they're not.
Right.
Like, what's the capital of Oregon?
Salem.
Oh, yeah. Kind of surprised. What's the capital?
Stop asking me these, dude.
What's the capital of Washington?
I don't even want to do this.
Last one. What's the capital of Washington?
Olympus.
Olympia.
Olympus. Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad, Mr. Geography major. What, No, I had a question. What, as far as Oscar Mike apparel, do we got coming out of the woodworks? Because I was at the headquarters recently, and the new Nalgene bottles are pretty dope with the flip cap.
Yeah.
The sport bottle that fits in cup holders and shit.
Honestly,
I like the big canteen.
the thing we get the most requests for recently, and I know we have to do it, is we have to come up with like some sort of on the move onesies and stuff because everybody asked for these. You know,
Onesies?
Yeah, because everybody our age is having kids, man.
Oh, I thought you meant
know?
like adult onesies.
We should do one of those too.
I might know a guy who's gonna model. His name's Ryan Curry.
Oh, he would
said he
be
was-
like the onesie model.
He said he was interested in
Yeah.
modeling. Yeah, and then we're talking kind of a dry fit side of things.
Yeah, a bunch of dry fit stuff. I think is some of the stuff that we were doing with like the women's yoga line and stuff was cool. It took us forever to. I don't know if anybody's really doing that stuff made in the USA. It took forever, and I feel like the process is pretty darn expensive to get it all done here. I don't know how lucrative of a business model that'll be, but at least we're doing it in the US.
Do you? Serious question. Do you think that we've been hindered by the fact that we have to do everything in the U.S.?
Definitely.
And that puts us definitely at a disadvantage?
It does. I mean, take any of our competitors in the space who don't make their stuff in the U.S. or maybe they claim made in USA, but they're like just screen printing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Compared to making the textiles here, the cut and sew, the finishing, the dyeing, the screen printing, everything, even USA made inks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All of that.
Like soup to nuts.
Yeah. And having to pay at least minimum wage in each of those factories compared to what, like our competitors are paying for overseas made stuff. And then they'll either, like do tag removal and print the tag on the inside with some misleading thing or whatever it is. Just, just for numbers, let's say take a competitor like Grunt Style, probably the biggest in the veteran space. Their shirts cost $3 less to make. We know exactly where they're getting their shirts. They're literally paying $3 less just for the blank than we are. If you sell 1 million shirts in a year, that's $3 million that they're pumping into their marketing budget that we don't ever get to use. Like we have zero, basically.
Yeah, they get to advertise with like the UFC and shit. And
millions of dollars more than us.
right. No, I hear you.
And people, I don't know if anybody cares about American made, to be honest with you.
And that was going to be my next question is like, how do you think, how important do you think that is in the market space?
In the market space, I don't feel like anybody really cares about that tag anymore. I hate to say it, but unless it affects, like, take an industry like coal, for instance. You could have an industry where very small numbers of people work. you go to take that industry away, it matters to the people in the industry that are being affected by it, but does it matter to anybody else? Not really, you know?
Yeah.
Same with apparel. If people just cared, like even if a small percentage more, like right now 2% or less than 2% of all the apparel purchased in the U.S. is made in the U.S., if that went up 2 to 3%, and it was like, you know, just call it 5%, how much that would do for our economy, it'd be enormous.
Yeah.
But will a million people buy a shirt because it was made in the USA, or would a million people buy a shirt because they got to save a few dollars? You know what I mean? Like what's more important? I feel like the saving a few dollars today is more important because it affects you. You know, you don't really care about
in the immediate.
You don't really care about the jobs and the people that lost their jobs. You're like, yeah, I got to save a few bucks, you know?
Yeah, no, I hear ya. I always go back and forth with that because, you know, anytime I buy products, I'm always kind of curious about where it is being made. And it's definitely, for me, something I consider when I make my final purchase. Even if it means spending the extra couple bucks.
I look at everything too. I guess where I get disappointed is I can't find anything made in the U.S. Like if I have something that I need, right? You know, like I gotta have this thing, whether it's like tape or, you know, whatever the heck it is, gloves. Can you get it made in the U.S.? You know, chances are 99% of the time the answer is no. You just cannot get that thing made in the U.S. Which I think, you know, like we all have just been beat up by that so much that we would like to care, but it's almost impossible to care now. Now, it's just, you can't get it, man.
It's hard. I mean, there's still companies out there that are trying. And, you know, let's be real, like, we're going to need other countries to manufacture shit, and some other countries are better at manufacturing shit than we are.
My whole thing with the apparel was it's so simple. You know, like it is so simple. It's not a cell phone. It's not a laptop.
Every country on earth can do textiles.
Right. So the textiles that we're buying here should be made here.
Well, and then also to add to that, every country on earth has done textiles.
Yep. Yeah.
No, I hear you. It saddens me when I realize that Wranglers aren't no longer made in the U.S. or, you know, Levi's.
Yeah.
Any fucking pair of jeans, really.
It is sad, man. But, you know, like, I don't know if Wranglers is. I'm sure. I know Levi's is because I was going to say publicly traded, because once you're publicly traded, you no longer, like, the reasons that you started the company no longer matter. Now you're a slave to your shareholders.
Yep.
So if you can save a few pennies on millions of items that are produced every year, the shareholders want that and they'll demand it. The reason I know Levi's was publicly traded is because I was the only person ever allowed on the New York Stock Exchange floor wearing jeans, other than when Levi's was there for an event.
Oh, really? They wanted you to get in the slacks, huh?
Yeah, I didn't have any, and they got, you know, permission to allow me on the floor for the tour, and everybody, you know, kind of like let me know, like, nobody's ever done this.
What was that experience like? Just
it was so freaking
being
cool.
there in front of all the fucking
it was unbelievable
number movers.
I learned so much that day about the New York Stock Exchange and about trading and the history. You know, like, for instance, little things. The tour was so intimate. This guy named Mark Otto gave me the tour, and our friend Lucy set it up. And Mark explained little things to me, like, you know, when we're inside there, we were on the mezzanine level, and we're looking up at the gold foil lined ceilings, and, you know, it's like these leaves going across the ceiling. And he explained to me that those were tobacco leaves, which was the very first thing that was ever publicly traded.
First commodity.
On the stock exchange floor, and, you know, like, stuff like that. Just A really, really cool experience.
I'm 32 years old, and I honestly couldn't tell you how stock exchange and that whole financial world operates.
It's wild. I mean, so Mark has been around for a long time, and a few of the guys that we met there. Mark's also a Marine. And it was kind of cool to hear the stories of people that, have been there for 30 plus years that, one of the stories that I heard when I was there was this one guy, his friend asked him to help him out there. He was just a runner, a guy that would like get stock or get coffee across the street for all the guys trading.
Yeah.
And this one guy would give him a $10 bill to run across the street and get a cup of coffee, which was like a quarter at the time. And when he would run it back over, the guy would let him keep all the change, which was $9.75, which was more than he was making in the whole day working at, the stock exchange. So, and then eventually they let him make a couple trades and, take part in some things. And they realized that he knew what he was doing. He had put in enough time just being on the floor to be able to make some trades. And next thing you know, he's working his way up the food chain. Now, what used to be like, I want to say 5,000 people on the stock exchange floor, all holding up the tickets, making trades.
Yeah.
Now it's all done electronically. And now there's less than 500 people on the stock exchange floor.
No shit.
So it's a much different environment. It's not all loud and crazy like it used to be, but it was still a really cool feeling to be there.
So, not to put you on the spot, how did that experience compare to being at the NFL draft?
Holy moly. The NFL draft was cool because I was in Chicago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what year was this?
It was like a few years ago.
16 or 17?
Yeah. And, like the George McCaskey, the owner of the Bears, or the chairman of the Bears, has become kind of a friend. And they had this jersey made for me that said my name across the back. And I got to announce the draft pick for the Chicago Bears in Chicago.
Yeah.
Know, and I remember
and you grew up here and you're like lifetime Bears fan, like
coolest thing ever. And we're waiting during, like they went to commercial, and so I'm up on the stage, and so the guy who I forget his name that's doing all the announcing and stuff, he for ESPN, he's up there. And he asked me some questions like while we're waiting for it to cut back to camera. Yeah. And one of the questions was like, obviously, where are you from? And I was like, Chicago. And then he said something like, who do you, I know it's early in the season or the season hasn't started yet, but who do you think is going to make it to the Super Bowl, or who's going to win the Super Bowl? And I just like looked at them all crazy, and I was like, "The Bears!" And the whole crowd just went like nuts when I said that because we were in Chicago. It was so cool.
Man, I admire your ability to just tell lies.
The Bears did not win the Super Bowl. Definitely.
Did they make the playoffs?
That year, no.
When was the last time they made the playoffs?
Dude, the Bears have made it to the playoffs a few times recently.
Okay. I honestly don't watch a lot of football anymore.
The last time we made it to the Super Bowl, though, was back when
06.
Yeah, with Hester. And Hester was like the reason. Well, we had a really good defense, too, with Urlacher and Tillman and Briggs and, all those guys.
Yeah, Urlacher was a monster. I was rooting for Peyton in that one. I just wanted to see the Sheriff win one.
Yeah.
And then the frat house we were watching the game in, they were all Bears fans, and I was kind of looking for a fight that night, so I was rooting for Indy.
I remember Hester running back the opening kick, and
I honestly didn't watch a minute of the game. I was just trying to get drunk and try to fight.
Well, running back the opening kickoff in the Super Bowl was pretty badass.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was thinking, like, man, we're just going to destroy it. And then we ended up losing.
My favorite Devin Hester return was when he got tackled by Seattle's kicker. We had a guy named Josh Brown, and he fucking laid pipe on Hester.
Of course, you would remember that. Nobody in Chicago would ever remember that one.
It's on YouTube. I can show you it later.
I'm sure you can.
No, man. This town's been special. I wanted to open up the podcast and just give some props to fucking this little area we have here in Boone County, but I just went to the Edwards Apple Orchard.
That place is famous around here.
Dude, it should be famous everywhere.
I know. It really should.
I don't even know how to describe it. Like, so Mackenzie, who was a recent guest on the podcast, she asked me to go yesterday, and I was like, didn't even know what to expect. But she said there's gonna be food, so I was like, I'm down. And we get there, and first thing we do is we get into that little restaurant. And I got a bowl of chili, that donut, whatever.
Oh my God!
What would you call that? What is that?
It's an apple cider donut, but magic.
It's an apple cider donut.
It is magic.
Crispy.
It's made right there.
It's somehow crispy, but yet melts in your mouth.
Yeah.
Got the
Believe it or not, where you were sitting when you were eating that, that whole place was torn down by a tornado a couple of years ago. The whole orchard.
I saw the pictures like in like 2008 or something.
And they rebuilt it, like almost identical, but still.
What would you say? Is that like a barn?
Yeah.
It's like a barn building that's got like a restaurant below.
Yep.
Storefront up top.
Just a big modified barn.
But man, let's talk about that apple pie.
Oh my God.
That ice cream.
It's that ice cream too.
Whatever. I don't know if it's store bought or handmade, but that ice cream that they got there.
No, it's all made right there, and it's made with love. That's what makes it special.
Yeah, man. It's that thing. That was a cool experience because I don't really do shit like that ever. Like when people go to like.
For anybody listening, if you ever come to Illinois and you're here in the fall, Edwards Apple Orchard needs to be like priority number one.
But they're open year round too, right? Like
yeah, but you want to go during apple season.
Yeah, for sure during apple season because they're just chopping up all sorts of different.
Well, and right now, it's a pumpkin patch too.
Yeah, they only do that on the weekends, though. I was kind of bummed out. I didn't get to go on a hay ride. But
we'll get you back.
No, man, it was cool. And then like we just went around shopping. I bought that summer sausage and that cheese we ate. That bacon jam. If we can't fix the stovetop by tomorrow and I can't cook my eggs, probably just toast some toast and spread that bacon jam on it.
Heck yeah.
So. Man, I can't tell because we kind of dropped the frames, but I'm pretty sure we're over an hour now.
It feels like it.
It should be definitely over an hour. You ready to wrap this thing up? And
what time did we start? 8 o'clock?
I don't remember, dude.
Well, it's 10 to 10.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Let's call it a night. Anything last words you want to say?
Other than you're a total sissy and I'm going to smoke you in any competition that you put in front of me now.
Like what?
Name one.
We can go downstairs and play pool right now if you want.
That'll be my first win. I'll just stack them up. You just keep naming them.
I really hate to keep bringing this up.
Don't.
But how many times have you won gold at the National Veteran Wheelchair Games in 9-ball?
Why don't we talk about how many medals I've won in 9-ball?
How many medals you've won?
Yeah.
Well, I've medaled every time I've played 9-ball.
So have I.
Okay. Now, how many times were you declared the champion that year?
I've won silver a lot. Put it that way.
See, so the saying is you actually don't ever win silver.
You're right.
You lose gold.
Right. You're right. I don't even have a defense to this, man. I get so frustrated getting silver every year.
You know what the sad part is, though? Is that you have a pool table downstairs. And I honestly can't even tell if we've ever shot pool down there.
I have a couple times.
Couple times?
Yeah.
Like when? When you're having a party and you're just fucking around?
I played pool a couple times.
But when have you actually ever put the time in?
I've just never had the desire.
I've
never said, man, I really hope that I win gold in 9-ball this year.
So one of my goals this year is to get a big group of us together and go to one of the PVA pool tournaments.
That would be cool.
Just to check it out, just to hang out.
I wish I got to play you in 9-ball.
You can play me anytime. We got a pool table.
No, I mean
downstairs.
there for gold. Like, I wish we got to compete against each
Well,
other.
You lose all the time to 1Bs. Like, you think you can handle losing to a 1A?
All right. Is this thing over?
No, we're still
Are we
recording. I'm just saying, like, even like,
there's no way you're beating me.
even if you drop weight and came down to the 1A slalom, there's no way you would beat me just because my wheelchair skills far surpass yours.
You think you can beat me in the slalom?
In the 1A slalom,
You're out of your mind.
I can't do the 1B
You're
course.
out of your mind.
I can't do the 1B course, but in the 1A slalom where it's more about speed and time,
No way.
you're not going to beat me.
No way.
No. I've seen you struggle to open doors. It's pathetic.
I would smoke you, Tim.
You say that.
Let's just do it this year.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
Done.
Portland. We're
And then see if you can even finish the 1B.
Yeah, the 1B's tough, dude. I'm a 1A. It's easier for you to drop down because the 1A course is by far easier, but it's also based on speed. And like, I know you've been doing your little laps around the lake and everything.
Your little laps around the lake.
They're 4.5 miles.
Uh-huh.
I go up and down my driveway. The thing's only a quarter mile long. I go up and down that thing fucking 4 or 5 hours.
All right. What do you got next?
Next, table tennis.
I'll whoop you. Whoop you.
I have 0 hours behind the table tennis
Same
table.
here.
No. You've played at the vet games.
I've played it before.
I've never even played the game.
I would destroy you.
You say that,
Fact.
but
Fact.
you're forgetting that I am Asian. And that Asians just genetically are programmed.
You got to
to
understand
excel.
who my time playing has been against. The world champion.
It doesn't matter who you get beat by.
Hey,
Just
I've
'cause
learned
you-
I've learned a lot playing him.
Just because you get knocked out 10 times by Mike Tyson doesn't make you a fucking boxer.
It makes you learn how to take a punch and try to get yours in.
Not if there's only one punch thrown and it's the one that's landing on your
See,
chin.
I got to go multiple rounds, man. I learned a lot in those little lessons.
Let's see. Man, what else?
Have you seen him play ping pong, by the way?
Mike?
No.
Gabe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. I don't believe that he's 100% Mexican. He's going to have some Chinese in him.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. No, he does a good job. We do have a little wager we need to settle now that we're on talking about dick measuring competition and all. You still think you can beat me in a full court sprint?
I would like to think at this point that
Let me
can.
rephrase that question. You've never beat me in a full court sprint. You think you can beat me in a full court sprint now.
Yeah. What's the wager?
Man.
I'm not doing anything that involves like me having to do something that I'm going to regret forever.
Such as what?
Like
Do you have a history of making bad bets?
I made a bad bet.
Yeah.
And I thought I had insider information. I mean, I thought I had that one 100% in the bag.
We don't have to, the stakes don't have to be that high.
All right.
We can do dinner.
Yeah, I was going to say dinner. And loser not only the winner gets to pick.
The restaurant?
Yeah.
Or whatever. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and we'll be in New Hampshire, so I doubt there'll be any good steakhouses or anything crazy expensive there. All right. Yeah, so the wager is you're going to beat me in a full court sprint. All right. On the podcast.
All right.
It's official.
It's official.
We're going to wrap this thing up. Thanks for having me, man. It's been a fucking real pleasure.
Did you say thanks for having me?
Yeah.
You had me.
No, I'm in your home.
Oh. Well, it's your podcast.
Well, I mean, this is...
Thanks for having me, dude.
Oh. We can have each other. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. I don't know what the video quality or audio quality is going to be like in the second half of this thing. Just sort of still winging things. figuring shit out. So bear with me, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. We will catch you next time.
Kill.
See ya.